If you're traveling to New Zealand, or if you are a New Zealander who might want to visit another country, you may want to think about this. People going through the New Zealand border are now being forced to consider a very unpleasant choice. Give up access to your cell phone or pay a fine of $5,000 New Zealand currency, amounting to over $3,000 US. This is under a new law that came into effect on Monday, October 1st, 2018, called the Customs and Excise Act of 2018. Now, authorities are quick to point out that this won't apply to everyone. Officials must have a reasonable cause to suspect that you warrant a full digital strip search. Just what that entails is not particularly clear. Certainly, the officials themselves are saying, nothing to worry about. There's an article about this in Time magazine that ends with these soothing words. Customs Department spokesperson Terry Brown said the new regulations would help improve border compliance while assuring would-be tourists that the traveling public is unlikely to notice much difference. See? Nothing to worry about. You won't notice a thing. Unless, of course, they pull you aside for who knows whatever reason. Now let me make something clear. People going over borders in many countries, definitely including the United States, are already subject to these digital strip searches. Customs authorities already have the legal power to take your computer and phone and any other device and plow through it looking for anything they deem to be objectionable or illegal. You know, just like in the pre-internet era when customs officials regularly pillaged through people's books and written notes and other documents. You know, like in East Germany, the Soviet Union, and other totalitarian societies. Yeah, well, that sort of thing has been with the so-called free world for a while now, except New Zealand is taking it a step further, since if you don't comply, they'll just take your money in order to force compliance, and then go through your phone and computer anyway. So in other words, New Zealand is simply rolling out another step toward total control over the population in all areas of life. Look, it's not just going to be New Zealand. They're just doing the trial balloon. You have to know this. That's how it works. A few years ago, the UK helped pioneer the rollout of city surveillance cameras, and then the US and rest of the world followed suit. Just as a side note, Britain is now being watched by 4.2 million cameras. That's one for every 14 people in the country. In 2013, Australia was pushing hard for greater internet censorship and surveillance in order to protect children. And of course, that only paved the way for other nations to do the same. Just earlier this year, the nation of Malaysia passed, then repealed, a law making the spread of so-called fake news illegal. Well, that was a trial balloon that failed, for now. My point is that we often see these new draconian steps that continue to chop away at our freedom, starting beyond the borders of the United States. Often, at least from an American point of view, at the edges of the world. New Zealand, Australia, and Malaysia are far away. Even Britain is across an ocean. But what happens is that these new laws are tried out. They're tested, honed, made smoother, and officials get the chance to iron out the most obvious objections that the public will have. Then they introduce them to bigger markets and bigger nations. It's important to understand that we are moving fast down a road that will continue to strip more and more of our rights away. It's inevitable that our elected and unelected authorities will want to do this. Our world is moving away from freedom because it's becoming more and more integrated, more systems being integrated, more regulated, all really to serve an international corporate and financial system that doesn't like the wild card of individual freedom screwing around with their well-honed and very profitable system. It's a machine, and every year we see this machine squeezing humanity into the shape it requires to ensure compliance, docility, and ultimately obedience. And of course, all in order to keep you safe. To those of us in the Western Hemisphere, New Zealand may feel like it's on the edge of the world, but make no mistake, what's happening there is just another screw in the coffin. The latest, but surely not the last, measure enacted by bureaucratic, technocratic elites who believe themselves to be the true managers of the masses of humanity to ensure their control over you.